Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. Welcome to episode 55 of the Wrestling Fans Insight. I am your host, John Hoppy. No William this week. William's dealing with a slight bit of a sinus infection, so wishing him really well, and hopefully he'll be back when we come back in May. But I do have my other co-host with me. Carlos, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Doing awesome. We also have Heather. Heather?
I'm doing good. How y'all guys doing?
Marvelous. And we also have the hype, Bryan Ballard. Bryan, how's it going today, bud?
What's going on, guys? Finally got the voice back after a long week of you guys not being able to hear me. I'm sure that was a nice vacation, but happy to be back.
Well, only Carlos will tell you that's a nice vacation, because that's what he tells me all the time when I lose my voice, so he's kind of mean.
My WrestleMania curse remains. Something always happens after I do the WrestleMania stream, and I end up not getting to do it, the reactions. So that's 2 years in a row now. It's a curse. I'll have to do a retro review at some point.
Is it going to involve Danhausen?
Right.
That'll definitely be a curse to live for, so, I just wondered. Overall, this week, Heather, what'd you think of this week's programming?
I mean, from what I can remember, it was pretty good. I thought AEW, of course, seemed to be a little bit better this week than WWE. But I don't know. I can't really remember. I just got done watching NXT, and some of the matches was pretty good. So I can actually say that for NXT when I usually don't like NXT. But they actually had some good matches on there. So, but overall, it was a pretty good week.
Bryan, what about your take?
I'm kind of in that same boat. I feel like this was the longest week ever. And there was nothing like overly horrible that's like sticking in my head, but I, don't remember being like, oh wow, that was so memorable. There was some good interactions I'm sure we'll get into with, Jericho and Adam Cole and that, but yeah, not too bad.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty solid week. Even the dirt sheets even gave it a pretty great week as far as all around. Carlos, did you have any input as far as what you thought?
Yeah, I thought this week sucked. I feel like. I did. I feel like WWE. I feel like coming out of WrestleMania, we'll get into this more, but I just feel like it should feel more important. It just feels like dog shit. It just feels like they're in limbo with this whole backlash and the draft not happening yet, and like the fact that Rollins and like Theory went from fighting Logan Paul to fighting John Cena to like not even having like feuds right now. It just feels off to me. It just really does. Like I think they really should have done the draft right after WrestleMania. And then the whole idea with Backlash is that you could, even though you might be on a different brand now, you can still have this one last battle. And then after that, like that's always kind of been the concept of Backlash. So to me, it just feels off. And then with AEW, like it was entertaining, but I feel like this week it was more about the promos and the segments, but they didn't want it to be. So they kind of went in half-assed, and they were kind of trying to have matches, but the matches just kind of didn't feel really important. And it was just an off week, and Rampage to me kind of felt like filler besides the main event because it was on Saturday, and it just to me it wasn't a great week for me in wrestling. But I was still entertained, but it just wasn't. Like Bryan said, like I usually take notes, when I'm watching the show, but this week I didn't because I was out of practice. I haven't been on it for a couple of weeks, and I was trying to think back. I couldn't even remember what happened. Like what happened this week? It was kind of like it was just one of those weird weeks.
Well, aren't you quite the little Debbie Downer right now?
Just being honest. Want me to lie?
No. I just had to give you shit for giving me shit, so it's.
I mean, you really want to open up this can of whoop ass, or what?
Whoa, we're not gonna do any receipts this week now, buddy. I gotta take it easy. I'm gonna be off next week, and I want to enjoy it and healthy. Thank you.
I can still try to make Torino. Don't tempt me.
I do agree though. Like I feel like the draft is kind of holding up things as far as stories and stuff. And it's hard to do, right? When we don't know where it's going. So, right now it's kind of like, it's almost like a house show in a sense where they're throwing the matches together just for, the content to be out there. So
I think what they really need to do instead of having it kind of like a rematch themed pay-per-view after WrestleMania, they need to take a break and just go through that draft, start doing new rivalries based off those drafts. It seems like they just cram too much in anymore, and it's taken away a lot of things for wrestling fans. You kind of need like that little bit of an off season, and that's the one thing wrestling doesn't have is an off season.
And I agree. They're booking this a year. They're booking this like months in advance, which Triple H is supposed to be doing. Like then there has been those WrestleManias in the past where there were feuds that were kind of like starting off fresh with WrestleMania, but this WrestleMania really did feel like the culmination of a lot of feuds besides the Ray and besides So they should have known that in advance. Okay, we're not gonna, let's change let's not have Backlash this year because this is really because a lot of things kind of finished at this WrestleMania, and like you said, like this would have been a good year to just start things afresh and to start new, something different.
Yeah, I do. One thing that might be a good sign, and we'll know in a few weeks, is the WWE might be taking this draft very seriously, just because with the sale and the UFC mergers and all that fun stuff, it's almost like they want to focus on that and kind of just work that out. So maybe they, want to get the draft right, and so maybe they're getting some time to prep for that. I'm going to be. Hopefully, that's our silver lining there.
And I think too, like to piggyback off what you said, I mean, they're kind of being open to all their content. So like, because I was listening to an interview with Nick Khan or whatever, and so like, if let's say Amazon comes along, okay, well, we don't want to buy Raw SmackDown, but can you give us 4 or 5 premium live events a year? That's where the draft would do good because they could go, okay, well, we're going to give you, so we'll give you these 5 SmackDown premium live events, and then we'll keep the Raw ones specifically on Peacock, because we partner with them and Universal. So I do really think they are going to take this draft seriously, fingers crossed, because they're doing it for content purposes, because now the sales got to be up. So of course they need to kind of have different brands because they want to make money. But that's a win for the fans.
Well, we go ahead and get right into the programming for this week. We'll cover the Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. For Raw, we had Solo Sikoa defeating Rey Mysterio, Bianca Belair defeating Dakota Kai, Seth freaking Rollins pinning The Miz in the United States Championship match, which went to a no contest between Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley. Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green defeat the team of Mia Yim and Candice LeRae. And in the main event, the 6-man tag, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Matt Riddle defeating the Judgment Day. For NXT, the NXT Tag Team Championship, Gallus defeats the Creed Brothers and the Dyad. Noam Dar defeating Miles Bourne. Roxanne Perez pins Zoe Stark. Cora Jade defeating Gigi Dolan. Dijak defeating Apollo Crews. And the main event match for NXT, the NXT North American Championship, Wesley retains over Charlie Dempsey. For SmackDown, Judgment Day defeating the team of Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. Braun Strowman and Ricochet defeating the Viking Raiders, which there's a funny moment in that match we'll bring up. For the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship, the champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez retain over Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green. For the Intercontinental Championship, champion Gunther retains over Xavier Woods. And in the main event, the no disqualification match, Solo Sikoa defeating Matt Riddle. And like always, I'm going to go ladies first. Heather, why don't you give us your thoughts on this week's WWE programming?
To be honest, I don't really remember a whole lot because, I was talking to you about all the stuff that I've been dealing with. But I know the spot that you was talking about with Ricochet and Braun Strowman. Like, I didn't see the whole thing. I just know everybody started talking about something bad happened, but then I went back and I saw the clip of it. Like, what was he trying to do there? Braun, all I know is I saw Braun grab Ricochet and throw him in the ring. Like, what was he trying to do there?
So I believe the idea was Braun was trying to, in a way, kind of do a half hip toss where Ricochet's supposed to be doing a flying body press against Ivar, and Ivar either wasn't paying attention, missed his cue, or just completely forgot. And so Ricochet ends up eating shit on the mat.
Yeah, because I looked down for a minute, and then I looked up and I just saw Ricochet go flying. I'm like, what the heck just happened right there? And I went back and I looked at a clip of it, and I saw where Braun had grabbed him and threw him. I'm like, okay, what were they trying to accomplish with that? But yeah, and then I'm loving the whole thing with Rey Mysterio and the whole LWO. Like, I'm loving that against the Judgment Day. I love that whole thing. And can we please, y'all was talking about Backlash. Can we please talk about the Almost versus Seth Rollins match?
You really want us to talk about that?
I mean, why? We're Seth Rollins apparently found out about that same match, at the same time we did, according to his tweet that he sent out. He's like, alrighty then, okay, I don't understand. But we won't talk about it.
I thought maybe your
Well, Heather,
I
almost
thought maybe they answered your fan
star in the
mail.
making, according to I believe
I
you
thought they
quoted
answered her
that,
fan
right?
mail and our dreams came true.
Yeah.
God works in mysterious ways, Heather.
Heather, after last week when you were talking shit on Dom and then, Carlos had to give you the tongue lash, and I think you'd learned your lesson not to, trash talk any more wrestlers, especially Omos.
Screw almost, man.
Wow.
No, I'm just kidding.
How
I
dare
don't
you.
like him. I'm for real. They just keep throwing him in these random matches. Like, I just don't get it, and then it does not make any sense. But I mean, I guess, like they don't really know what they're doing, like y'all said with the draft and everything. So they can't really start any feuds until they know where everybody's going to be. But it's just so random when I saw it popped up, like, okay, what was even the point of this match, Oh, and then, okay, speaking of pointless, okay, what was going on with Bobby Lashley and Austin Theory? Like, why is Bronson Reed interfering with that? Is he wanting a chance at the belt or something?
No.
Again? Don't even get me started.
No, Bronson Reed was actually, is just starting a feud with Bobby Lashley.
With Bobby Lashley, okay.
Yeah, that...
And Theory's just getting thrown in there because there's nothing else for him to do, and so he's just kind of like a backdrop for it. Great booking, China. I feel like Vince isn't back in charge, and China's just trying to make him happy, so he's 6 days away and doesn't come to the area. Like they talk probably on the phone.
I want to real quick make a point on the Amos thing. Not to circle back, but I noticed if they want to build him right, and I kind of shuddered when I said that, but Brock Lesnar made him look really strong at Mania, and if you're gonna have a follow-up match where you're really going to try to make him look good, why not put him in a ring with somebody like Seth Rollins, who could probably make anybody look really, really amazing?
But I don't think he can afford. I don't think if you're trying to make him as a monster, though, he can afford to take another loss. And I don't think Seth can take the loss either. So that's where it's like I don't understand it.
Well, Seth, he did get the win at Mania too. So,
but they also do have this thing where this has been WWE's like once the draft happens and they switch brands or whatever like that, everything's like we got. So you got to remember with WWE, you got to have amnesia. And so it's like, everything's forgotten now. We're starting over.
It's kind of the Eddie Guerrero factor, right? Like if there's somebody that's not the best wrestler, put him with somebody that's really good. That, as the old cliche says, they can have a wrestling match with a broomstick, So I think that's maybe the idea. Cause I mean, you're definitely not going to want to put him up against Braun Strowman or somebody like that. Cause I just think it's going to get a little, you're going to have a kind of that stale, big man versus big man style.
I don't think we lost Carlos. I think you just may have not been able to hear him. Carlos, are you still with us?
Yeah, I'm here now. You got my back?
Yeah, I've got you. Brian, can you hear him?
Yeah, I can hear him now.
So, my point was
I couldn't hear anything either.
With the draft, they just with the draft, so they could have Rollins lose, and then their policy with the draft has always been like, okay, now it's like you have WWE amnesia, and now we can start Rollins back onto this winning streak. Like they think that the draft kind of erases everything in the past.
Heather, did you have anything more?
Okay, well, NXT, when I watched NXT, like I said, they had some pretty good matches that I was kind of shocked on. But I love Wesley. Okay, I think he is an excellent wrestler, and I do not like heel Braun Breaker, but of course, I don't like heels, period. But y'all said that he's better as a heel, but I watched him, and I'm just like the whole thing, the interaction between him and Duke Hudson. No, I'm sorry, it just no. And Zoe Stark and Roxanne Perez, they had a really good match. And then Dijak and Apollo, I thought that was an excellent match. But yeah, Wesley, I love him. And the match between him and Charlie Dixon, that was excellent. Let's see. For SmackDown, yeah, I ain't really got anything to say about SmackDown.
All right. Well, it was really impressionable, we can see. Why don't we go ahead and Why don't we go to Bryan for his take on this week's programming?
All right. So a couple things did stand out on Raw for me. One, I enjoyed the Rollins Miz match. I just thought those two had a pretty good interaction. And, I don't know. I can't remember if they've ever interacted like that before, recently too, I can think of. I enjoyed, I almost felt like the Miz was kind of upping in the tone a little bit in that match. And it was almost like, show you guys to make me a host of Mania and not give me a match, right? And I think Rollins is on kind of a bit of a roll, and he's hot with the crowd. So I liked that match. I like how it ended. And so I really thought that was a good showcase for those two. And then I did like the end of Raw in that big 6-man tag, and it was just chaos at the end, right? Everybody running in. You know, you had all the Judgment Day and Bloodline, and you just had everybody all in this ring. And I can't remember the last time I seen Raw end in a just chaotic fashion like that. And to me, I think that's okay to go to that well and drink from that water, you know, once in a while. So I definitely liked that. And it did kind of have me a little excited at the end of what was, you know, even though some people could have predicted it, predictable is not always terrible. And then for me, SmackDown, you know, my only really takeaway from that, I mean, I know it was not as memorable, but I did enjoy, you know, Solo Sikoa is starting to get a lot more exposure on his own. And, you know, I see they're doing the nice, slow bodyguard build with him, right? And I think of guys like in the past, you know, like a Diesel or somebody like that, you know, that just they do the kind of bodyguard enforcer. Batista was that in Evolution, right? And then I can see Solo just slowly, and they're not doing it too fast with him, but he's starting to get his own theme music, and he's starting to get like just all those little things where he's getting featured more. So I think WWE is going to do a good job with bringing him on in the next year. And it's going to make us question, is it going to be the Usos or him that's going to maybe cause the destruction of the bloodline? And then ultimately, you know, NXT, I watched it, but there's nothing that really kind of grabbed me on that. And you guys know that's kind of my, as I called it, that's the booty call show for me, right? So I call it up whenever there's nothing else going on. But
alrighty, a booty call show.
Yeah, remember the one analogy I gave where I said NXT is kind of like the girl that you call, that you just say, "Oh, hey, what are you doing tonight?" And you're not in a committed relationship with NXT, but there's nothing else going on. So
you play in the background. We having a booty call. I mean, I don't know.
All right, well, Carlos.
All right, so like for me, like again, like so I'm gonna just say this one more time. Like Raw just feels off to me. Like the whole WWE, because to me, Cody should be champion, and like to me, like Cody should be feuding with the Bloodline still. And I wouldn't mind if it was Cody feuding with Solo for the Universal title right now, and it was Cody versus Brock for the WWE title. But to me, like because it's just I don't know, just it feels weird not having Cody interacting with the Bloodline, especially after all that we had, especially because there's more members of the Bloodline too. So, but for me, I thought the Solo and Rey match was really, really good. I mean, again, the one thing I like about Triple H is that he actually books Rey like a star, and he's not using him like a jobber, like I feel like Vince used to. Both competitors looked really great, and again, the right person won. Solo's, you know, again, I really like Solo a lot. Like again, he just has those badass vibes to him, and I really like him. The Bianca and Dakota match, to me, that was some good. That was some good Twitter time. Like, that was some good time to get on Twitter and show my friends some support. It just did nothing for me. Again, I love Bianca, but this all feels stale to me. And again, maybe I'm mad because Asuka didn't win, you know. But it just to me, it feels stale. As far as again, I thought it was funny that Cody wasn't medically clear, but yet he beat up 20 security guards. That was kind of funny. Again, I'm like Bryan. I love the Seth Miz match. Again, as you all know, I'm a big fan of the Miz. And for me, this is the Miz that I want to see. I want to see the Miz that has a chip on his shoulder and he fights like that instead of being like the chicken shit heel. Again, it was really good. That's the thing with Theory and Lashley, like I already mentioned. To me, like you just got John Cena to come back at WrestleMania and fight Theory, and you're gonna waste him as being a backdrop to a Lashley and Bronson Reed feud. Like, to me, Theory should have his own feud right now for the U.S. title. Again, if you're trying to make the title more prestigious, why isn't somebody stepping up to challenge him for it instead of just bringing it back to Lashley and getting him in there with him? I think it's just really bad booking. And then for me, again, that's like I just feel like I just feel like the whole roster thing should happen right now. Like, it's just the whole thing feels very stale. Again, where's Seth feud? Again, the fight with Miz was good, but where's his actual feud? It is, and going back to that, like, you know, instead of getting a 6-man match, I wish we were getting like a match where we've already seen the Usos versus the Street Profits, again coming off their win from WrestleMania versus Owens and Sammy for triple threat for the tag titles. And it's, again, like I'm like Bryan, like, and again you'll probably see it there. I like factions and I like things too. So that was a fresh take on the ending of it. But for me, the thing that's kind of sour me on everything is like I'm seeing the same thing on SmackDown and on Raw right now. And again, I don't need to see both Riddle. I don't need to see Riddle in the main event of both things and stuff like that. It just feels very off to me. It's just too much, it's just too much of the same people. And again, when you have a big roster full of people, I just wish they were sharing the love. For NXT, like I was listening to another podcast. I think it was one of the wrap-ups, and they said like NXT had like 28 segments, and it was just a lot to go through. It just felt like a lot for the viewer to be kind of focused on. Again, with the triple threat match for the tag title, with the Creeds losing, I hope that means they're getting the call up to the main roster. With Noam Dar and Miles Bourne, I like Noam Dar a lot. It's good to see him back. And again, I think Miles Bourne, again, he makes me want to learn sign language, and I'm just impressed with him. The fact that he can have a match without being able to hear his person in the ring calling it with them, And again, for me too, just whoever's working with him to kind of have that patience with him. Again, every time I see him wrestle, I think it's really special. And again, here you have a guy who's wrestling because he's deaf, without even hearing the crowd reaction. I think it's pretty cool. Like for me, if you're going to turn Braun Breaker, like what Heather said, if the Braun Breaker as a heel is just not working for me. If you're going to turn him as a heel, have him feuding with somebody bigger than Chase University. It feels off to me. Like he should have a bigger feud than Andre Chase, because I feel like he's going to get Andre's in his ass kicked. I'm glad that Indy won the title, but to me, it just feels out of place. And like I just feel like she's going to lose the title on Tuesday. It just feels like she doesn't. It just feels off to me. Like I don't know. Like again, and it's to me, it was just. I'm glad that Indy won. Like again, I'm a big fan of Indy Hartwell, but the way they booked her up to winning that match, where she was just losing all the time, it just doesn't feel like she just feels like a placement. I don't like that. And I do think Tiffany Stratton takes the belt off her on Tuesday. And for me, the one thing I was like with Wesley, I love Wesley too, and he's an entertaining match. And I don't think Drew Gulak is the guy to be feuding with him right now. So I just wish he had a bigger competitor. Like I wouldn't mind seeing him fighting Eddie or Dragon Lee in a singles thing. And then too, I just don't. I love Grayson Waller. I think you guys know I'm a big fan of him. But to me, them ending. Every time they end NXT with the Grayson Waller effect, it just comes off as very stale, and I just don't like it. I wish they ended it with the match. As far as SmackDown goes, Rey and Santos, that was versus the Judgment Day. Where was Dominic? I mean, hello, where's my Rey? The Rey Dominic during this thing. I didn't like that he wasn't there. For me, I want to see the LWO get some wins. Maybe they'll give him a win on Cinco de Mayo. We can only hope. But for me, like I'm not invested because I feel like they're just there to sell shirts, and they are like one of the top merchandise people. But I would just like to, and to me too, like instead of seeing them fight each other every week, like why not utilize Los Lotharios and have them, I like the promo segment with Karrion Kross. Again, I think the thing you got to remember with WWE is that you got to have amnesia when it comes to things like that. And even though like that wasn't necessarily the case when he fought Riddick Moss, he was already in his new character. But I liked the way they did that with him, and I wouldn't mind seeing Shinsuke turn heel and him and Cross form a tag team with Scarlett being his mouthpiece. Again, I am intrigued with this feud with Braun and Ricochet versus the Viking Raiders. It was a good match, but to me, it was kind of like one of those things where I've already seen this match, and that's the one thing about SmackDown to me. It was like a lot of repeat matches, and that's a very Vince thing to happen. And again, I know Triple H wrote the card, but it's one of those things where it's like I feel like he's just trying to keep Vince happy and keep him away. There's just a lot of repeat matches, and for me, the women's tag match was just filler to me. Because, again, it feels like they're just buying time to Ronda and Shayna. Gunther and Woods was a great match. And, again, it was great seeing Woods get the show out. And I like him, losing by passing out. And, again, I think Woods is someone that's underutilized. And, again, they could just do a lot more with him. And, again, Gunther showed really well. And, again, I wasn't into Riddle and Solo at all because we just saw the match last week, So, again, it's just – and I'm not into Riddle feuding with these guys. Again, to me, it feels like it should be Cody.
Well, I think I know why Dom wasn't there. It's because Heather was trash talking him last week, so,
Yeah, he better stay away.
He better stay away like Carlos wants Riddle to stay away? Is that what you're trying
Riddle
to say?
can stay away, too.
Oh, okay. Wow.
I mean, I just don't like the way he's come back. Like, I don't know. I've seen some other people talking about it. Like, the whole serious side of him is just not, I don't know, it's not working. He just doesn't seem credible. I don't know. Because everybody's so used to him being like the funny, like stoner type guy or whatever. Now he's come back trying to be so serious and not. I don't know. It's just I just don't like him being back. I don't know. I'm probably just talking nonsense, but I don't know. I just don't like it.
No, I agree.
Don't like him.
If you're gonna if you're gonna bring him back, have him winning some matches. Like bringing him back, having a job out to Omos and every time. I mean, having a job out to Solo, it just doesn't feel right. Like if you're gonna bring him back and make him a big deal, like let him win. Like he's been losing every time he's fought, and I'm not interested in him at all. And again, to me, it feels like this should be Cody's feud. Like it's just I can't help but get over that. I'm sorry, I'm not going to.
Well, I mean, yeah, it should be Cody. Like it just totally it doesn't make any sense that Cody is not in this, but yeah, because I don't understand like throwing Riddle in there with it. Besides, Solo supposedly taking 4 months of his career away, so that's why they're throwing him in there. But we're just going to keep having him fight Solo and just keep fighting. I mean, keep losing. Like, what is that just going to keep going on? I mean, I just don't see where they're going with it.
Because I mean, it feels like the one of the things where it's like, well, we didn't give you Cody, right? But you guys like Riddle, right? So we're going to dangle Riddle in front of your face, and you're going to like it because you like Riddle. So forget that we didn't give you Cody, but we're going to give you Riddle now. So again, it just feels like they just think we're sheep, and again, that's why I just can't get into it.
Well, I kind of also wonder if they only brought Riddle back because 420 was this week, so.
To sell some shirts.
Good point. A couple things I wanted to
get your real rolling papers and your flip flops.
A couple things I wanted to mention that Carlos mentioned is the Braun Breaker stuff. I really believe that's a developmental thing. Before they bring him to the main roster, I know they sometimes like to see that you can work a heel or face if called upon. So I think maybe that's what's going on there, but I'm with you. It's kind of weird to see him as a heel, and he's got to grow into that. The other thing is, the Bianca Belair stuff. I think you made a really good point, and this was something I was concerned about at Mania, is if she retained the title, that it could be the John Cena effect where she could get a little stale. So I'm a little fearful for, let's just say this next year. And I don't want her to get stale because I don't want her career to take that turn. Like I want her to stay as a top, person for, the WWE. But
well, and to add to that point, look at everybody she's been through. Do we really see anybody stepping up to her? Even if she was to, let's just put this in theory. Let's say she gets drafted to SmackDown. Hasn't she pretty much defeated everybody?
Yeah, I mean, unless they're going to build up somebody from an NXT, but I just don't see anybody coming.
To me, they should have put the title on Asuka at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I made her a badass heel. Like there's more for the faces chasing the badass heel than there is for the heels chasing Bianca right now. It's just like they dropped the ball in Damage Control. Again they ruined the feud with Pipe. They've had her beat Piper. Like you said, there's just nothing for her, and it just feels stale. And
no, I agree. And it's almost that Roman Reigns effect. Like I truly believe that right now Roman Reigns is the greatest end boss, like in a video game, right? He is the greatest final boss in the wrestling world right now. And whoever takes him down, it's going to be a big deal. And I believe that Asuka could have been that as well if they would have switched that title over and let her kind of build herself up. And we know she has a habit of having a streak.
I don't know. I think they've kind of hit a roadblock with her right now unless they find something intriguing, but
and speaking of Asuka, that's another thing. Where's she been? She was getting the women's title match at WrestleMania, and we haven't seen her since.
I don't know, Heather. You didn't trash talk her, did you?
No, I thought she was going to win the belt. Honestly, I really thought she would.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we cover our asses in case anybody blames us. So
What was the comment last week? Someone said about what the Vince thing. What was the comment you were talking about?
Oh, nothing is ever Triple H's fault when it comes to bad booking, and I don't think any of us ever said that. It just feels like Vince booking in some aspects, and I think that's where he got a little sour. If I remember right, I think he may have possibly been a former booker too. And so,
just to touch on that because I wasn't on the show the whole time. I again, after seeing the way Triple H booked the end, again, they're saying that the match, that the finale with Cody was booked months ago, and again, like NWO Machine said, they're giving Cody his receipts right now. They're making it's like. Again, Triple H, I don't think he's that much better than Vince. It's just the fact that he's tuned in more to the current product and the current culture. But again, I think we're giving him too many flowers. And I think, I think that I don't really think he is, and especially like now he's had the main roster for what, 8 months now. And where's it been his, and again, and the one thing with NXT was like the women, his booking of the women was one of his strong suits, and it's been dog shit since he's been in charge. So again, I don't think, again, I don't really blame. I think there's certain aspects where he's trying to keep Vince happy, and he's doing things where Vince wants. But again, as far as like, it was his decision for how he booked Cody. He's very old school in a lot of his ways of thinking. Again, this is the guy who went over on Booker T when Booker T should have won the world title. So again, I'm not giving him as much credit as I used to. Sorry.
If anybody else wants to speak up, go ahead and do it.
Leroy, did you want to speak, Leroy?
What up?
How's it going? So he's a big fan of Riddle.
Oh, that's my guy. That's my homie.
There you go.
When I first started training at the Power Factory, he would come through a couple times and stuff, and we didn't even talk wrestling. We just talk about movies and chilies and stuff like that. So yeah, shout out to Matt Reynolds. Shout out to Damian Priest too, because helped me with some moves too. So
did you train at the factory?
Yeah, I trained at the factory. I trained when they was the Power Factory, and then they switched over to the Nightmare Factory. So yeah, when they first came to Georgia, Riddle and Priest was coming through. And I was always gonna be my homie. We just talked about like Bloodsport and like action movies, and then talked about Chili's menu a lot because we like Chili's. Matt Reynolds the homie, so I'm happy for him and stuff, doing his thing. Real chill dude. Damian Priest, he's doing his thing. He helped me with a couple of moves, train me a little bit along with QT. So shout out to both of them.
Very cool. I'm all over that Bloodsport movie too, man. I used to watch that all the time as a kid.
Yeah. We was talking, what's the funny part is we was talking about Bloodsport, and he was talking about how cool it would be if he made like a Bloodsport for pro wrestling. And I said that'd be fire. And I don't know who would do it. And I was on the internet, I was on Twitter one day, and I see, because I followed them, and fast forwarded, I would go on to wrestle with them, but GCW had put out this is Bloodsport thing. They had a promo with Matt Riddle and stuff, and I texted him, and I was like, "Oh, congratulations! You finally got your idea off of having a Bloodsport, kind of event." And GCW was doing it, and it was something that out of the norm that GCW doesn't do, type shoot kind of fights and stuff like that. So that was different, and I was just happy that happened, all that kind of stuff. So shout out to Matt Riddle. That contributed to the conversation of the fucking of Raw and SmackDown, but yeah. So yeah, Raw's pretty good. I mean, I don't get to watch it a whole lot of times, but it's pretty good. SmackDown's pretty good. I do like the LWO. I do like how Dominic is coming into his own as a heel. I do like that. That took me by surprise of he's really getting into his bag as a heel and stuff. So you never know. And then your guys was talking about Bryan Breakker, another homie. I don't know how I feel about him being in NXT right now in general. I thought, okay, they gonna call him up after after the last Mania, in Dallas. I thought he was gonna be in there, and then he didn't come in. He didn't come after Kylie. So I was like, oh, so they must really just want to develop him down in NXT. So I thought he was gonna get called up a while ago. Seems like a good. It's it's new to him, he's being a heel, but he's trying to find his stuff, and that's what happens when you're out of heel a lot of places. I'm out of heel a lot of places, so I would feel all right, I gotta do the best I can do as a heel. I gotta do the best I can, being that I don't be a heel a lot of places. So I kind of know where he is in that point of you just gotta keep seeing what works and stuff, and get the heat that you can get, and the hatred and stuff. So yeah, that's my thing I gotta say.
So, yeah, and I think the Bryan Breakker thing is a good point. I remember when they brought up Apollo Crews and Nia Jax, and I remember that was way too early in my opinion. And I'm kind of glad that they're seeming to be taking Braun very serious and kind of wanting him to develop. Who knows? Maybe it's a Money in the Bank thing, right? Maybe he comes up and gets a briefcase immediately or something like that.
Well, he needs to be feeding with somebody so if he had him, for example, let's say I would have like Wesley defending the title this Tuesday, like let's say against Dragon Lee, and then I would have Braun Breaker cost Wesley the title. And then I'd have Braun Breaker feud with Wesley. I was having him feud with the face who's really over, and a guy who's littler who can like do a good moveset, and someone who the fans are invested in. That would be the more natural. That would be the more natural feel for that. And again, it just feels odd when you're feuding with Chase U because it's like who's he feuding with? Like I forget the tall guy's name. I'm brain fart, but it's like there's like multiples of them. There's only one of him. It just again the whole thing just feels off.
I thought he was feeling with Carmelo.
Well, yeah, and now Carmelo's a face. Like to me, I want Carmelo as a heel. I don't want him as a face right now.
Well, I always thought Carmelo was I thought Carmelo was always a baby face.
Gotcha.
He was like a what you call it? Not I would say a very confident baby face. He would be a very confident because like he didn't really do anything really dastardly to me. I'm not saying because I have a personal connection or I know the guy. I met him, but I'm not cool with him. I mean, I'm cool with him, but I'm not like we're like best friends. But like, anyway, personal relationships aside, like I always thought from seeing from afar, he was always like, I'm a confident baby face. I'm an aggressive baby face when I need to.
Well, no wonder I like him so much.
Yeah, I just like. Cause looking at it, like, cause I didn't really watch NXT that much, but when I did watch NXT, and I've been watching it lately, he's always came off as a guy that was a aggressive baby face, more of a confident kind of baby. And
you must have missed a lot of the matches with Trick though, because there's been a lot of times where Trick's helped him win a lot of his matches. So that's the part where he doesn't come off as a baby face.
But see, I just think like if you want to like see as a heel, I feel like if you're a heel, like if you're a heel, like you're hateable. Your thing is like when you're a heel, when you're just on like a normal, I'm gonna have my friend help me out kind of type stuff. Then you can always turn it into a babyface. Like you can go into that middle ground because right now I know we talk about WWE, but right now. I'm watching real heavily MLW because this is where my attention's at and the Impact. But like Alice Kane is like their top anti-hero kind of guy. He's like going into babyface territory. But he was doing like heel shit. He was doing like real despicable stuff. And it just so happens that they learn how to Alex learned how to turn it into being an anti-hero. And it's the same thing with Carmelo. Like he was probably a heel really, really good. And then it was like, oh, we could turn like the crowd turned him babyface because he was just so good in the ring. He was a promo guy. Like, Trick is his friend. I got your back, dog, that kind of stuff. And it's the same thing with Alex Kane when Alex Kane has the Boom Fight Club on MLW. He's smacking people with cheesesteaks. He's calling people hoes. And like, hey, that's real heel action. But over time, people in Philly, because they tape in Philly now, they don't even go a lot of places. They go to Atlanta and then probably Philly and Atlanta, and that's probably like the two places that they go. When you do stuff like that in the city of Philly, you obviously over time are going to be cheered. Especially in the city of Philly and being a Philadelphian, I know if a motherfucker smacks somebody with a cheesesteak and calling people's hoes and he's suplexing people and he's taking it to Davey Boy Smith, you're gonna turn yourself into a baby face because everybody in Philadelphia likes people who talk trash, smack people with shit.
It's not like the ECW vibe.
Yeah, it's just, you go into that territory. And it was the same thing with Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu was the most dominant heel in that promotion. And he just started being his real self, and people started fucking with him. And they started really cheering for him. I just think, just like in WWE, like if you're your authentic self, and you're like, I don't think that that's not like, this is not a character for Carmelo. Like, I don't even think that's hey, Carmelo Hayes is my character, even that it's a quote unquote character, but I think that's his legit real self. He talks trash, he dresses good, he's got his friends by his side, and who don't like that? It's like, you know, you turn it into a babyface actions. Me, I ain't supposed to be a babyface. I'll tell you that right now. Like, I don't know how the fuck he could be cheering for me, but it happens. It just what it is. And I don't, you know, I take what it is. So I talk smack, talk a lot of smack, call people rat bastards, and I don't care who you are. Like, I've said this to many people. You know, you could be an AEW, WWE. I'll talk smack to you. Even if I'm in the same company, I'll challenge you to a fight. This is how I am. Like, Adam Cole could be like, yo, Nasty Leroy, you're a rat bastard. I'm like, who are you talking to? And I'll be like, who are you talking to? I'll fuck you up anyway, Adam Cole. And it could be the same thing with anybody in WWE. It's just like, people like that shit, and I don't know why, I don't know how, but it is what it is. And I think with Carmelo, like, you know, your real personality shines out when people start fucking with it, and you just gotta go with it. And I think that's what NXT is doing. Like, they was like, oh, we're just gonna go with it. We're just gonna ride the wave. So they had to put the title because they was caring for them and stuff. So I know those examples outside of like the topic of AEW, WWE, but I just had to use other examples. But it's like, when the crowd is fucking with you, the crowd is fucking with you. Like, you can't like, well, a lot of people would love have those organic reactions, I think, because those are the things that I've seen. Carmelo Hayes getting over, even that I haven't been watching. I watched lately, but I haven't watched in the past. But if I saw a transition of like him becoming an organic babyface, same one as Jacob Fatu and Alex Kane. And this I'm just going to say this, and I'm going to just be quiet. The organic thing about them, and I even put myself in it because I mentioned myself, but the organic thing about all of them, including me, is like, I don't get people I pretty much know this about Alex Kane, Jacob Fatu. I don't think they try to, and Carmelo try to get people to like them. It just so happens that people will like them. Like, if you ain't trying to be like, come on, everybody, like me, that messed the Miz up messed the Miz up for many years. Because when you try to get people to like you, that one time when he was with Shane and he had the fucking babyface run, I think a lot of people, he was trying to get people to like him. And if he just been like organically being himself, he would have fucked with him. Even though he's a great heel, like, you just gotta get people to genuinely like you. Like, your true self is people who like you. I talk smack, I dance, I whoop people's ass, I do chair doors and stuff, and I like to wrestle in the hardcore style, but also can technical wrestle too. People keep fucking that. I'm also talking to the most lovable babyface at the time, Cheeseburger, talking about how he's a rat bastard, which he is. And I think when you have that, people can't know what, you know what, we fuck with this guy. We fuck with him. We like him. This is the same thing with Carmelo, same thing with Alex Kane, same thing with Jacob Fatu. I mean, how can you not like a agile Samoan that talks shit, that is the hoodest Samoan you ever see out here in these streets, and then also Alex Kane being a legit athlete, I don't know if he went to college or whatever, but a legit shooter will whoop your ass for real if you try to test him. And he's from Atlanta. He's from the part of Atlanta, that upper part of Atlanta too, the Decatur area, and they know we playing out there. So, and they'll call you a hoe, and you can do nothing about it. So, it's, you know, that's what I think people fuck with, especially in the right cities. Like Carmelo's in Orlando, Jacob Fatu wrestles in Philly. The same thing with Alex Kane. So.
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about, you know, everybody kind of likes a villain. And I'm going to throw this analogy out there, and I don't know if it's going to reach with you guys or not, but it's almost like the Vegeta effect from Dragon Ball Z. Starts out as the villain, and then eventually people warm up to him, but he's still never a full in until way later. And so, yeah, I definitely think that everybody secretly wants to root for a villain on some level. Good point, man.
For AEW this week, Dynamite, we had Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter defeating the team of Ruby Soho and Tony Storm. For the TNT Championship, Wardlow becomes 3-time TNT champion against Powerhouse Will Hobbs. Jay White defeating Commander. The Acclaimed and Daddy Ass defeating the Jericho Appreciation Society. And the main event of the night, Sammy Guevara getting a count-out victory over Jungle Boy Jack Perry. For Rampage, Jon Moxley defeats Christopher Daniels. The unlikely team of Jay Lethal, Jeff Jarrett, and FTR defeating the Varsity Athletes and Slim J. And the main event for Rampage, the AAA Mega Championship, El Hijo del Vikingo defeating Dralistico. Why don't we go ahead and start off with Bryan on what his thoughts were this week?
Yeah, so I think you guys kind of alluded to it was, very promo heavy. I did like the Jericho Adam Cole setup for the feud that obviously they're going to have. I think that's very smart just to keep Adam Cole safe, especially with a veteran like Jericho. So I applaud AEW for, kind of putting those two together in a program. They got to work on their chemistry a little bit with each other, but I mean, it'll get there. And, so I didn't mind that. And then also the Acclaim match, they're always fun to watch. They just bring an energized, atmosphere to any matches they have. So, but other than that, for me, it was like AEW just kind of came and went really quick for me this week. And I don't know if that was just because of everything else going on with like NBA playoffs and all this other stuff, but it just kind of happened. I watched it and it was done.
Heather?
I'm happy that Wardlow, is the TNT champion again because he really got shit on when he was only champion for 3 days and got it taken away from him. I was happy that he got that back. And then that Britt and Jamie, they won, but then that whole thing happened afterwards, with the Outcasts and everything. Like, I see where they're going, with Chris Jericho and Adam Cole and everything. So, it makes sense. But yeah, I'm kind of don't really know where I stand on that right now because it's just, to me, it kind of made, well, never mind. I'm not even going to talk about that right now. But yeah, I'm like I said, I'm glad that Wardlow got his championship back. And then the match with Sammy Guevara and Jungle Boy, the whole thing with MJF, coming out there and hitting Jungle Boy and then causing Jungle Boy to be counted out, like that was just bullshit. But of course, now him and Sammy are best friends. How long is that going to last? It's because he's going to come after your ass. But yeah, that was a mess right there. Because Jungle Boy got shit on, of course. But yeah, the Acclaim match, that was a pretty good match. I love the Acclaim anyway. Let's see. Jon Moxley and Christopher Daniels, excellent match. But of course, I like any match with Jon Moxley in it. And he's just like he said, like that him and the BCC, they said they haven't changed at all. They're what they've been the whole time. It's everybody else has changed or whatever. And you left out the Kiera Hogan and Julia Hart match.
Well, thank you for the correction.
But yeah, Julia beat her, and then Anna Jay came out, of course, attacked Julia because they got their feud going. And then the whole thing with Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and FTR, that was just kind of like a train wreck to me. It is what it is, but yeah. And then the main event on Rampage, that was just that one was just a really good match because I like Vikingo, is that his name? Yeah. He does real excellent work anyway, and then for him and Dralistico together, yeah, you knew that was going to be a good match. That was just the highlight right there for me. Really, was that match. That match was just a really good match. Especially with it being on Rampage and on Saturday, I thought it was really good. So that's all I got to say.
You know what? I'm gonna let Carlos give you the receipt on destroying Vikingo's name, so
I gotta give you the receipt because you're calling me a homer, like just because he's Mexican. I like his matches apparently. What the hell?
No. You ridiculed us last time for mispronouncing his name. Then, we decided we'd leave it up to you to,
Well, no, when I comment about I love how much I love the Gringo Loco and
the only one doing this is you. So don't even go there.
Yeah, I wonder why you like that one. You wearing a sombrero when he's watching them?
Oh, Jesus. Do you need a hug?
No.
Are you sure?
I got sugar instead.
Carlos, just lay it on thick when it comes to Cinco de Mayo. You know what you want.
Well, I'm hoping on Cinco de Mayo. That's when the LWO will finally get a win. We can only hope.
Maybe we can have Obey Jess, throw some glitter and yell bibbity bobbity boo at everybody like she plans. So
Glitter bomb.
Yeah.
Can I talk?
Yeah, no, go ahead. The floor is yours.
So, like I already said before, like this just felt off to me. Like it feels like Tony Khan has his foot, like his toe half in the water with stuff. And again, it just felt like an off week. Like it felt like it was more about the promo, but it wasn't trying to be. And the matches just felt off. To me, the opening segment, like it was just bad because like Darby and MJF come off as the bigger stars. And I feel like this match is like the Four Pillars 4-way match is the match we should be getting. And I feel like just less promo maybe for some of these guys and more action. And for me, like I just wish like Tony Khan would just book the match already. Like instead of having like a fake tournament that we know is going to end up in the 4-way anyways, like just announce the match and maybe do a thing where like every week like MJF, like let's say MJF gives them all the match, but they all get to pick one opponent going in trying to take each other out of the match. Like to me, that would just be more better than this fake tournament that we know is going to just end up in a 4-way match. The women's match, like again, I get that TK is trying to be different than WWE, but Britt should have taken the loss in her hometown there. Like, again, how am I supposed to be invested in the Outcast when they lose every match? And if we're going by booking standards, this feud should be over already because Jamie and Britt already beat them, but we know it's not because of what happened later on. So to me, like it felt off totally. I love the assignment with the Elite and the BCC. Again, I can't wait for this match. I'm intrigued by it. I'm intrigued by Takeshita. Like, is he going to turn heel and join the BBC? Again, I'm intrigued by all that. Hobbs and Wardlow, again, to me, like, I like the idea of Arn with Wardlow, but man, why are you going to do Hobbs dirty like this, man? Like, just because we're out of the Bay Area now, you're going to just do him dirty? Like, to me, like, if you want to have Wardlow be the longer champion and if you wanted him to, like, have a long title reign, they should have just had the ring match be for a chance at the international title, and they should have just gave Hobbs the international title and because Orange Cassidy's had a really good run already and made Hobbs that champ and then give him over title reign because you have the whole QTV thing. It just makes no sense. They're taking the belt off Hobbs already. And again, it's just the TNT title's lost so much prestige to me, and for me, I definitely rate it below the international title. The Jay White Commander match was really fun. It's an interesting match. The match I really want to see is I want to see Commander versus Samoa Joe because I think Samoa Joe would feed into a lot of what the IWC is complaining about, and like he would just when Commander goes to do his move, I know Joe would just yank him off the rope. So I because like Joe moves out of the way when people try to do moves for him on the outside. So I really want to see Joe versus Commander. And the one thing I wanted to touch on was I like that Tony Khan signed Commander. And I think like with the signing of Commander and also the signing of Jay White, I think Tony Khan's doing a really good thing for his partners. Like, yeah, he's bringing these guys to AEW, but he's also keeping them from WWE. And I just really like what he's doing. Like, he's building this big roster of these stars and keeping them out of WWE, but he's also like doing things where Commander's still going to fight for AAA, and Jay White's still going to go fight. Will fight if he wants to for New Japan. So I just really like these signings, and I really like what Tony Khan's doing, like using his financial resources to kind of help keep a lot of these stars in house, for him and his business partners. And I think that's just really good businessman, and I really commend that for him. The Cole Jericho segment, to me, again, I said this on Twitter, it should have been Anna Jay. It should have been Anna Jay and Taya beating up Britt in the ring, and it should have been the Outcast holding back Hayter and maybe Riho in the back, and Willow. Like, if it's a Jericho segment with the JS, it should have been Anna Jay and Tay out there beating up Britt. The Acclaim and JS match, it just felt like a filler match. Again, they claimed it really over, and again, Tony Khan should just keep. I'm glad they lost. I'm glad they won because I was afraid, oh God, don't make them lose. It was just a nice change, and not because usually when a match is booked like that, you're going to see somebody like that lose. But for me, I would book the Acclaim and Daddy Ass versus the House of Black for the trios titles at Double or Nothing. As far as the main event goes, I've already stated what I feel. I feel like this match should be taking place, and I feel like that match should be booked. Mox and Christopher Daniels, was an entertaining match. And again, I do like how kind of Mox, suckered him in at first by shaking his hand, then beating him up. And again, if you know anything about backstory, you know that Christopher Daniels is a very good friend of the Elite. So the match made a lot of sense. The Julie Hart Kiera Hogan match, again, I like the match because it just really shows how much Julie Hart has improved. Her development has been amazing. Like, she's really good in the ring now. She's just improved a lot. The Anna Jay feud just feels off to me because Anna Jay is a heel as well as she is. And like, take that dumb mascara off your face. Like, they don't need to be doing that for every person with the feud. Like, it's stupid. Just take it off. The Varsity Athletes versus Jarrett, Lethal, and FTR. Like, I'm glad that Jarrett's back on TV. But I mean, they should have like the Varsity Athletes attack Mark a couple weeks ago, and had Jarrett and Lethal made the save to where there was some kind of storyline. Like, it's just out of the blue that Jarrett and Lethal wanted to start being Mark's friend again. It feels so stupid. And again, I wish, as far as the Varsity Athletes go, I wish that Sonny Kiss would have been the partner instead of Slim J. Like, you did this whole thing with Sonny, and a lot of it was on Dark, but let her have some shine. Like, let her be in there instead of Slim J. And then FTR doing the strut was really fun. Again, those guys, I'm really glad they re-signed with AEW. And again, I really think their heart's in the right place as far as wanting to make AEW like another option for wrestlers and just helping the company grow. And again, it's just nice seeing them have fun out there. The main event delivered as expected. Again, for me, I just want to see Dragolisto win some matches because again, he loses all the time, and so let me at least think that he has a chance to win. And again, El Hijo de Vikingo. I think that I think Tony Khan Salve to sign this guy, and again, I'm waiting for the All Elite graphic. But I definitely think the match with Gringo Loco was a lot better. And again, if you don't usually watch Ring of Honor, I would go check it out. Also, like, according, our boy Leroy spoke about, go give Impact some love too. And, again, Donna Prazzo and Steve Macklin just won the titles over there. Their husband and wife in real life. And they're doing a lot of good things in Impact Wrestling. And so I watch MLW too. Give all these guys some love. Enjoy your wrestling. That's all I got.
The one thing I do want to say that I find a little interesting with the whole JAS, in a way, feuding with House of Black, but now also picking fights with Adam Cole, Britt Baker. I find it a little interesting where Anna Jay and Tay Mello are going to play, as far as, do they want to side with Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter, or do they want to side with the Outcast?
And that's why I would have had that's why I would have had them out there being at Britt. But I would have made it like Jericho ordered them to be out there, like exactly for what you just said. Add some more layers to this feud. Like, again, are they gonna? Maybe they feel bad for being a Brit. Are they gonna side with the Outcast? Are they gonna? Again, that's exactly what you just said. Is why I would have had Anna Jay and Ty out there beating her up per Jericho instead of the Outcast.
Yeah, that's what that was a little bit weird watching that on Dynamite. I'm just sitting there thinking,
more layers to this whole thing.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, this is interesting. We didn't have Sammy out there because he's in a program with MGF, of course. We didn't have Tay out there. Of course, she's going to show support for her man. And then there was no sign of Anna Jay until we Rampage. It was the Outcast, which we see Saraya hugging Chris Jericho for that brutal beating on Britt Baker.
It wasn't a brutal beating. She was like going after it was bad. It was so bad. They should have given the stick to Ruby.
I'm calling it a brutal beating. I don't give a shit what you say. So
she probably gave herself the black eye back there in the backstage.
Well, never mind. I'll leave that comment alone.
I'm forgetting. You guys are forgetting. Where I see why Anna Jay didn't come up there is because she was beefing with Julia Hart. She was trying to find Julia Hart. They out there. Last time they was in the main event, they was fighting each other. And so because they was fighting each other, they have this rivalry of for me, I can tell you what this rivalry is because I seen this rivalry with my own two eyes at the factory. And when Julia first started in the camps and in the camp, I'll say this. The camps and the night class sometimes mingles. And so the night class people sometimes will get into it with the campers. I've seen one time, actually a few times, But the first time I seen Julia Hart, she was, young, good looking girl. She was athletic, stuff like that. I thought, all right, cool. We got another, badass female at the Nightmare Factory. So didn't think none of it. They started doing a drill. They started doing a drill, which turns into like, I would say this is like near the end of like the camp thing, and they was doing matches, and then I would say a competitive rivalry was born that day, and then ever since then there's been a competitive rivalry, and so I think it's just showing out on TV like who's the best out of the class, out of the best out of the AEW slash factory kind of thing. That's what I that's what I always take from it. Like they always had like a I'm better than you, type stuff. So, because like if you think about it, they're both like both are kind of like prodigies, but in a way, I'll say to be on TV at a young age like that. Both are attractive ladies, so then they get into it with that, and then also who's progressing more, who's a better athlete, who's a better fighter, and I just think this is that peer. The rivalry turns into competitorship. The competitorship turns into rivalry. That's what I'm thinking is going on. I feel like the Anna Jay and Ty Conti will come to Chris Jericho's aid and will be with the Outcast. It's just only a matter of time. So it's just like they're not giving it to you right now, but they will. And it's not even they're gonna choose. I feel like they're gonna go with Chris, and they're gonna be like, "Yeah, we in there. We in there." So I'm gonna just fight with the Outcast, and then somebody else will fight with Brett Breaker and Jamie Hayter. So that's my thing. Also, they also got the Renegade Twins. They're also on Dark more regularly. So you might see them pop up on Dynamite one time and like side with the Outcast or maybe like Brett Breaker and Jamie Hayter. So
Yeah, I'm fair. No, I love it, Leroy. Again, I love your input. Love when you join us because it is good to hear that. But again, for me, I think I think as if you're a smart fan, you know all this stuff. And again, thanks for giving us a lesson. But for the fan out there, it just seems different when it feels weird because it's two heels. And again, I'd be all for turning in a J base again. But again, I think also that the House of Black is just make them a face. I'm down with that too.
I would like to say this. Carlos, you said you want people to check out more MLW and more Impact. I agree. I think more people should watch MLW because it's just a lot of good. It's a good television, like both on both sides, Impact and MLW. They're just both good, entertaining television. I mean, for those who ain't seen like MLW, like it's got a lot of good ass wrestlers on there, and it's a lot of good storytelling. Actually, it's like I forget. It's like it's a mix of things. I can't say it's one.
You got John Morrison's on there right now. He's what is he, Johnny? I forget his name now.
Yeah, he's on there. John Morrison, Ty was on there for a little bit.
Lindsay Dorado's on there. Microman, who I love, Microman.
Yeah,
there's people there. There's a lot of good. I like the whole Ravens flock. I forget the name of his new stable, but he's got Ricky Shane from the Independents, the Colleen, and the other little Hispanic dude, the guy who I think he might be Japanese. He's really badass. I like him though. The other guy who's with the Colleen, he's really good too. But then you got the British. You got the I don't think they've been on TV recently, but you got the Von Erich lineage there. Also, Dynamite Kid's sons are there, I think, or. With Davey Boy's son, so there's a lot of good wrestlers there. And again, like you talked about, too, Alex Kane and Myron Reed, there's a lot of good wrestlers there. Definitely give them some love, and that's the one thing that makes me mad about all these fans who want to wish the downfall of AEW or things like that. It's like, dude, like be happy that there's so many jobs for so many good wrestlers, and to me, like if you're a fan of wrestling and you care about the talent. Like, let there be a lot of hope for all these companies to strive. Hope for MLW to get a major TV deal. Hope for Impact to get a bigger TV deal to where they can pay stars more money. Like, if you're a true fan of wrestling, then you should be a fan of the talent. So you should never be rooting for the downfall of a company. And like what you talked about too, like I went to an independent show up here in Sacramento, and it's like, and I got to see, Jacob Fatu was there, and he was fighting this little girl named Mighty Myra, whose brother I sat next to ringside AEW. So much on her, and he gave her so much offense, dude, and like him and the other Fatu brother, like the bigger guy, I forget his name with the big belly, but like there was supposed to be a girls match that turned into a 3-way tag match, but that dude, these people give back to the wrestlers, like you're talking about, like with Matt Riddle and Damian Priest. Like, let these talents thrive, let them eat, because it's like they're doing so much for wrestling that other fans aren't even seeing. And even too, if you have independent shows in your town, like go support independent wrestling, because that's where a lot of these guys started. Like again, I got to see Brian Cage, and that's the reason I went. But it was like just very entertaining. It's a good time with seeing 80-year-old ladies with face tattoos in the crowd. Like it was just fun. And again, it's just you just got to be in the moment and lose yourself and just have fun with it, and sometimes not overanalyzing it so much and just enjoying the product for what it is. And that's the thing for like Impact and with Impact and MLW. I enjoy it for what they are. Like they don't have the budget of WWE, and so. But again, they make do with their resources, and I can appreciate that as a fan, and I can sit there and enjoy the show because again, the one thing I like about Impact is they utilize their whole roster, and they're doing the secondary feud, even third feuds. Like everybody has a feud, and that's something I love about that product. So again, like let's root for professional wrestling. Let's root these guys can have more jobs. Like again, even with WWE announcing their deal with Twitch. Like the wrestlers get to go on Twitch again. Like let them eat. Like that's I want to see you eat, Leroy. I want to see your dream come true, man. And that's I think that's just a beautiful thing for like let's root for the wrestling community as a whole and just let's see wrestling thrive.
I appreciate that. I really do. I always say support independent wrestling because that's the grassroots, that's a true form of pro wrestling out there. A lot of the guys that are coming on TV are from the indies and they're good. So they're not like, oh, they're okay or they're trash or whatever, but they're good because they wouldn't be in a major promotion if they wasn't good. So my favorite group, and I always tell people, even if I'm in wrestling, I'm still a fan. So I like sometimes have to like calm my fandom down of like, I wouldn't say calm it down, but I have to keep it at a minimum, like to being too much of a fan of people because my fan side would take over. Instead of my wrestling side, because it's not a bad thing. It's just like I have to know when act like at certain times. But my favorite people, now this is just me. My favorite people is, like I said, is Alex Kane because this dude is only like what 4 years in wrestling, and he's like on a top level as MLW. He's on TV. He's like And what I like about him is he's like giving back to wrestling already, and he's already in his like the beginning years of his career, so he doesn't really have to do it. But he's like, he's like giving people like at the school where he trained at the WA4 at AR Factor School, giving all the guys that are at the school like match critiques and feedback and stuff like that, and then. It's the same thing with Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu is always like willing to give like feedback and match critiques and like so like I have been really gotten cool with Jacob Fatu and Alex Kane. Alex Kane and Fatu are part of my fight team, my group. If you want to call it a faction, you can, but I don't like to call it a faction. The Nasty Team Worldwide. Jacob Fatu is in there and Alex Kane is in there. But yeah, MLW is one of my favorites because it's like it reminds me of like so many different promotions, but it reminds me of like you said, there's so many different stories. Like there's fucking alone I can mention like they had the world title feud, and Hammerstone, and they had Alex Kane is always like beefing with somebody, but constantly he's been beefing with Davey Boy Smith Jr. and his cousins or whatever. And then the Samoan Dynasty / the Samoan SWAT team, I should say, is their name is, and MLW. They're going for the tag title, so they got the championship feuds going on. And then my number one favorite, I think it brings the kid out in me because I like this style of wrestling. And I also like other styles, but I think it's basic. It's easy to do, but it's also fun to do. which is the brawling hardcore style of that style. But the tag team of the SG, well, they're not really a tag team. They're mainly a group of people, but they could be a tag team. They could be a group. The Second Gear Crew being on TV, probably like the most popular group I've ever seen. Like, and also get to use Rob Van Dam's theme song. So people always be like, "Oh, why are they using it?" Because the guy, Rob Van Dam and his manager said it was cool. So, and it also fits them. So probably like the most popular group that I've seen in recent years that's organically get over with everybody across the country. Like, everybody at least has an SEC flag or shirt on, like, and I'm just so happy that they made me a part of even that I'm not like the official member, I'm still like a member, honorary member of SEC because it brings me back of my childhood of watching ECW and stuff. So I just love shit like that. And then Impact Wrestling, I recently got to be in the ring with in training, and I hope like somebody books this match. I hope Brett Lauderdale books it at GCW. But I got to wrestle Speedball Mac Bailey, and
that dude's amazing.
It answered a lot of questions for me. Could I go in there with one of the best? And I did go in there with one of the best. So, and it only
congratulations.
proves that
when did you wrestle? When did you wrestle him?
It was about Mania weekend before the big wrestling
nice.
weekend.
Congratulations, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. I got to train with him and stuff. I got to do some training matches there. So I'm waiting. So, just waiting for somebody to book it and, at an actual show so we can get that shit rolling. So I know it has proved to me that I can go with one of the best. So that, when you go with one of the best, it makes you step your game up. So he was like, yeah, you beat the shit out of me. And he beat the shit out of me. He kicked the shit out of me, which I knew that was going to happen. But it just confirmed that and my coach saying, both of my coaches like, damn, that was really good. Like, which is crazy that my coach is Billy Gunn, and it's just fucking wild to me. But he was like, damn, Nancy, that was really good, and then stuff like that.
So, Billy Gunn's your coach?
Yeah, at the factory.
Oh, so you're at the Number Factory now. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The Power Factory, cool. AKA the Factory.
Nice.
So yeah, I just think a lot of times, like, being in there with guys that are the best at what they do, it of course makes you better, but also proves to yourself that you're one of the best out here, So, and they can go with one of the best. So,
and thank you for sharing that too, because I think it's good that fans hear, because again, I saw it too with my own eyes, and again, just see how much giving these guys are giving back to the wrestling business, and that they're not just a bunch of snobs, and that they don't forget where they come from, and that they do help guys out. Like, again, thank you for sharing that with us. I think that's really beautiful.
I think your point of the toxicity of being the tribalism thing and shit like that. I don't get it. I never will get it.
Yeah, no.
This is a quote that my friend told me. He said, "You know why you don't really get the tribalism stuff is because you've seen everybody and every promotion come together at one place." And it's like, once you know that, you just know that this is the fans, like the fans of not all fans, but most fans that are like, I'm a WWE fan and nothing else, or I'm an AEW fan and I'm nothing else. And it's just like, when I went to Wally Mania for the first time, I seen so many people from so many different companies. I seen LA Knight there. I seen Carmelo Hayes there, Daniel Garcia there. I seen pretty much everybody from NXT to Impact to everybody there from New Japan. Everybody was in the same room. And it was just like, wow. All these people were in the same room as me. And confidence, I thought like my budget went down tremendously. And then I think the match, me and Master Cheeseburger, where I beat the hell out of everyone for being a rat bastard. And then being on Spring Break 6, and going to Wily Mania made me feel like, oh, okay, people were still fucking with me. Like, they still mess with me. They still I'm still respected in it. Still respected, as my friend says, the industry. I don't like that word, but the industry. I'm still respected. I'm still people was coming up to me that work in WWE, that work in Impact and work in other promotions. So yo, I fuck with your videos. yo, I fuck with your matches. You know, you're good. You're a unique character. I would like to work with you. Like all these other people that I've gotten to talk to, and it was just very good for my confidence because I didn't think like, all right, I was like, all right, my shit's dried down, so nobody gives a fuck about me no more. And then it was like, no, everybody fucks with me. Like I'm in yeah, I guess you could call it a rivalry, but I have beef with Matt Cardona, and Matt Cardona don't even want to fuck with me because he knows that I will fuck his ass up in a ring. Because he's like, oh brother, you too stiff. I don't want to work. I don't want to wrestle you. I was like, oh, you ain't wrestling me. I'm gonna just fight you. So it's a difference. So I think it brings the gut confidence to me. Yeah, I just think we're in a golden age of pro wrestling, and it's only get better. Matter of fact, we are in a golden age. I think mainstream media is paying attention to not just the AEWs and the WWEs. They're paying attention to Impact and MLW because there's a lot of people that, oh, there's a lot of money in wrestling. Oh, there's a lot of tension in wrestling. And like there's a lot of rappers coming to wrestling that are doing like wrestling collabs. Like fucking I seen Meg Thee Stallion with Bianca Belair. Westside Gunn, who's one of the biggest rappers out here, was at GCW, which is one of the biggest independent promotions out here. Was at their collective, their big thing going on. And so with those cross brands of like different cultures and different things, it won't be too long until Deuce, if you're familiar with that rapper, will come into like an AEW or MLW or GCW or even WWE. Well, he'll appear on somebody's television because he fucking did a 3D on like the fucking Rolling Loud stage. And people was going crazy, like, oh, I haven't wrestled in years. Y'all doing 3Ds. Y'all doing the Douglas move. Like, their fans know, and half of their fans watch wrestling. So I think, like, this year and next year, you're going to see more cross-promotion, cross people coming together. Like, fucking, we had at GCW at one of our shows, we had this rapper named Father come to our show, and even know he was in the crowd. So it's like, I think more mainstream media, more rappers, more the hip hop side is gonna come to, some rock and roll people probably, but more hip hop people gonna go into wrestling, and I think that's a good thing. So what the people being taxed about, I only watch WWE and stuff. I just be like, hey, bro, this you go over there with that. So you stay over there with that because at the end of the day, wrestlers and rappers are coming together, and it's gonna make people pay attention to the wrestling world. To be honest, I know this is a long ass thing I was doing, but I just had to get that out. I think more people will be paying attention to fucking wrestling in general. I think the indies are going to get a lot of spotlight, and that's good for me. That's good for everybody that's on the indies. Like, and I'm not talking about like in your carnival. I'm talking about like promotions around the country. It's a promotion in Texas called New Texas. The champion, his name is Bryan Keith. He's got the fuck mixed with he's got a country western thing along with
he was trained by Booker T, right?
Yeah, he was trained by Booker T.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah, he's got the country western thing going on with the hip hop. He's got a little hip hop sauce with it, and he comes out to Still Tipping. So who don't like Still Tipping? Like, it's one of the fire songs of all time. It's basically Texas songs. People like him and rappers coming together, and then like fucking AJ Gray came out to Waka for years. Now he doesn't come out to Waka. It's sad though, but I think that's his type. That's his song. But I just let him do what he does. But like people fuck with him. Like there's comedians. I don't want to just toot my own horn or I just say it. There's people who come to me and like my style because they think I'm a comedy guy or I'm really hilarious. So a lot of comedians like me, like Nikki Glazier and stuff. And I never thought that because I'm a comedian fan. I'm a fan of stand-up comedy. So I think along with me and Effie, who are he got one comedian, I forget his name right now off the top of my head. that he was on their podcast, and I just think
RJ says RJ City.
Not just RJ City. I think it's another person. I can't think of his name, but it's another comedian that was like they did a pod. AEW did a podcast with him, and I can't think of his name right now. I actually probably go after some of his stuff, but there's a lot of comedians that are coming into wrestling, and they're like, "Hey, I like this. This is cool." And I think it's like if you, I know this is a little bit long rant, but I just got to get this out. If you're too much to see, like, I'm pro WWE, I'm pro AEW, I'm pro this, you can't see the bigger picture when you go to an independent show or checking out an independent show and you're posting about it, that's helping people know that there's other stuff out here. Like or at AEW at an Impact show and at an MLW or GCW. To me personally, and I'm gonna be personally biased because this is what it is. To me personally, the third, fourth, fifth, wherever they would be named, GCW is already claiming the national spot without television, and I'm gonna tell you how. It's because they've been on streaming service Fight for a long ass time, but it's like people are knowing it's out there more than it has before. Like when I saw Westside Gunn and them come to GCW, I thought it was a big ass deal. And a lot of these rappers are discovering like wrestling, and the gateway is GCW. So I think right now it's a good thing for us, as a member of the roster. But I also think that it's good for wrestling in general because it gives people like, oh, this is a different thing than a major wrestling company, especially WWE that we're not used to. And Matt Cardona coming to, even that I hate his fucking guts and he's a rat, it puts more eyes, like Moxley coming over there, then Cardona coming over there, it puts eyes more on us. And I think without even being on television, that's cool. Without even it being on the internet, but getting a lot of views that it is and having people paying attention to the GCW roster, it's already like, I guess if you want to call it a silent national company, but I've already said it's an international national company, like without being on television. I know it's a long word, but like international national company it is, because it really doesn't really need TV. And if it goes to TV, it would want to be on something like that can fit its aesthetic of like what they are, which is basically what ECW was in a sense of like a Baskin Robbins of professional wrestling, a buffet table pro wrestling. Like you got your luchadors, you got your hardcore guys like me, who are can do more. I don't just call myself a hardcore guy. I would say a guy that can do everything, but guys that can do hardcore, guys that do, great wrestling like Nick Wayne, and then Jordan Oliver, who's just a phenomenal wrestler. And, they got fucking phenoms like fucking Billy Starks, who's been kicking ass for years, and now in AEW, about to show her ass off, about to do her thing. And I think it just launches people. Like, it also, what ECW did, it launched people in the stardom and help people get eyes on them and put them in the top of the thing. And it's the same thing with what ECW did, what GCW did, and like that's why I feel like it's a international national promotion. But I'm excited about these years coming up because it's got cool stuff out here, and it's we in a golden age of like we're gonna be in different rap, you're gonna be a rapper. So
I appreciate you, Leroy. Thank you.
No problem.
A big thank you to Libsyn for hosting our podcast and providing it to every available audio platform. Go visit our website at www.wrestlingfansinsight.com to find us on your favorite audio platform. We're available on GoodPod, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, Ghana, YouTube, and more. If you like our podcast and want to be notified of our latest releases, please subscribe on our page, wrestlingfansinsight.com, or whichever audio platform you listen on. While you're at it, if it's possible, give us a 5-star rating and review. We'd be happy to read your review on future recordings. If you're on Facebook, look for our group, The Fans of Pro Wrestling. And lastly, if you'd like to leave us a text message or a voicemail, call our number 1-385-367-4772. We hope you enjoyed this week's program, and we'll be back with our episode number 56 of the WWE Mock Draft, which will be released Thursday, April 27th. Have a great week, everyone.